First of all, I just want to say thank you, God. The reason why I'm thankful is because as a tiny individual, as bad as things are for me, I am so thankful I didn't live life like these clowns. That the government contracts that they throw at us. I don't know if they're if Anna Toledo's call them like those contracted civilians that are sent to partake in this via these fusion centers that are basically clowns for sale, or excuse my language, but professional retards to gaslight you. I mean, so some for me, I come in all shape or form, so I go into different realm. When I go to my professional job, that is very opportunist, and they're gimmicky and behave in ways that's just theatrical for the purpose of gaslighting me, and that's where you see some mental challenge like behavior in order to gaslight me to internalize this. And then I come here, and then there's people like this, like this, where it's another level of stupidity that's thrown at us, and they take themselves very seriously in the stupidity, in the gaslighting. And I deal with V2K synthetic telepathy that's extremely idiotic. First of all, you've watched this thing here, which has wiped the facade that they want to create. And I always put that in the faces. And the reason why I like making videos today is because it gives me a chance to show that these people here involved in something that does this evil to children will not live this fantasy. What they're part of are fully
children as young as 3 years old are being targeted and harassed, particularly with voice to skull V2K. The sickness that someone would torture a small child is beyond belief. We have confirmed that these kids are in fact receiving directed energy weapons and voice to skull. It's a very disturbing development for us. With children, they'll use their mother's voice. The parent has to tell the child, watch my lips. If you didn't see me say it to you, that wasn't me.
That's the kind of atrocious things they do and what they're involved in. And so, regardless of what happens to me, I will not let go of a chance to show these clowns that I know what they truly are. I pray that they continue to live in this foulness, but I thank God to have unmasked and wiped this facade that was supposed to present them as the protector of children. And because of that, and because me putting that in their faces, they're just getting less and less, or they care less about how obvious it is that they're making no sense. But the reason why they're trying to make sense in regard of what's happening to me is they truly wanted me to perceive them as a group of individuals who are just doing some investigation and researching and protecting the young, the children, when in reality they're involved in the program when kids that young get tortured. And that's the kind of evil we're talking about. When I went to the office and I see this trash walking around, they're like, yeah, young, and I know it's like, you're young, you're nasty low life involving torturing kids as young as this child here.
Hearing voices, piercing sensation on skin.
Try to cover the evilness that consists of harming children like this.
Here.
Especially
torturing children as evil. That's the way they torture children this way. I'm going to put that in their face till the end.
Being targeted and harassed, particularly with voice to skull V2K. The sickness that someone would torture a small child.
That sickness is what they're part of. while trying to push people into stupidity to accept this stupidity, which I'll get to.
Is beyond belief. We have confirmed that these kids are in fact receiving directed energy weapons and voice to skull. It's a very disturbing development for us. With children, they'll use their mother's voice. The parent has to tell the child, watch my lips. If you didn't see me say it to you, that wasn't me.
That's the kind of sickness they're part of. And someone involved in them are not even adults. Doing everything possible to cover up this kind of sickness that they're part of. So for me, I see this trash, regardless of the age, for disgusting low life the government contracts, where some of the evil that they're part of does this to children. And I will never let them live their fantasy. And I'll put in their face the clownery that they wanted to present themselves as, that they protect children. Matter of fact, I hear this trash say, girl. I say, this kid look like a boy, but they don't care if it's a boy or girl. They will do this to a child. And no matter what trashy low life they have around you, regardless if there's some trash like this here, or you can tell they're nobodies, they're not gonna cover up this evilness that they're part of. And it is just, like I say, it wipes the facade they wanted to present. Listen, I use the word wipes because they wanted to use that word to negate how they're no longer able to present themselves as the protectors of the young. If anything, they're discussing low life that are, you almost have to turn into mentally retards to gaslight people into internalizing things. And one thing they would try to mess with me, which I'll start with that first, is they have created stories over and over, the same stories, wishing that who I've been with was not an adult. And I think 3 years ago, there was like, they were trying to create this memory of me being with some Asian, Canadian Asian, so a Canadian of Asian descent, that I was with in 2014 when I was in Canada. Before that, I actually tried to do that with a Colombian woman that I was with when I was in China. And even the video that I made 3 years ago, they tried to find who they came, and they kept doing that years. And they're like, no, this one, always the same stories. They kept doing it with any person they could make me imagine. And mind you, I'm like in my 20s, mid 20s or so, and try to make me imagine who I was with, not being an adult. And it's funny because like, 2014, remember, that's the year you follow. It's the stupidity. But now you got even further, more stupid. Matter of fact, when I remember being in Canada, before I ended up being with this Canadian, maybe a few days, maybe a week or so, around that, somebody looked at me and like shake my head. They're like, you see, they knew that later on, maybe in a day or two, you'll be to try to make me accept this. The worst is what they just did today. They start try to make me accept of the stories. They make me think of, because today there's a bunch of teenagers that like to be seen by me so they can manipulate my brain in these degrading ways. I'm a target individual who deal with V2K and telepathy. So they can force you to get a sexual arousals whenever they want. And so what they do is they force me to get these experiences when I see the youngest of the youngest children to the oldest, all the teenage kids. So last week, as I'm in the train, I remember being on the train, and there was this like teenage looking Asian girl. That's what she looks like to me. And mind you, I'm getting much older that I can't even, like, some of these young adults sometimes look like kids to me. Actually, not too long ago, last week or the week before, I think it was last week, there's somebody I was so convinced she was not an adult, and I made a whole video about it. I was convinced this is like a teenager. I go to the office, talk to this girl, and she's like, oh, because I wanted to be sure. It's like, because I kept seeing her. I was like, and this time I didn't see her with someone who I thought was her mother. And I was like, how old are you? And she tells me she's 23. I was shocked. Now, this person, I really thought she was like a teenager. But just giving you an idea that I'm getting to the age where these young adults, some of them look like they're kids. I was shocked. I was like, I can't believe that you're an adult. But they were messing with me like she was like not an adult. And she does not look like an adult. So in the train last week, as there was some Asian, and my body came, she really wanted my attention. She's like, she tried to show her. I was like, and I even looked at her. I was like, don't even. And I think she's a teenager. I can't imagine her being an adult. But now they're like, you see, last week, that Asian girl that looks like a teenager was a teenager, which means 12 years ago, who you're with, because she's Asian, she must be the same age. That's the kind of stupidity that's now around me. Now, they don't even look that much alike, but they even try to merge things together because they have the same race, and I don't even think it's the same Asian, like same region of Asia. Just try to, as if it's like me saying, oh, this person is from Persia. So that means that they're the same age of the Persian that you saw 12 years ago. Right? That kind of retardation. And the reason why they go all out like this is because the truth is they really try to disorient me. They wanted to paint the storyline to act like they protect children, when in reality these clowns are discussing with life that harmed some of the youngest children. And then have trash like that. That apparently I'm being told they're gonna act like they were victimized by me. Can you imagine this? Those are the people, by the way, telling the story that's that retarded, involved in the program. That torture children. In this horrible way. Their retardation or try to make me internalize this manipulation and persona. Now try to convince me now, if this Asian girl last week was a teenager, that means 12 years ago who you're with. Clownery. And they're like, yeah, no, it proved this. Like, yeah, I understand what that kind of proving makes sense from people who do this to children. And they have games where they're like, yeah, we solved it. So it's like, hey, makes sense. It makes sense. I understand why people like involved in this can prove in this retarded. It's clear that they protect children. And it's clear that you use the special solvers who got me by implanting this stupidity in my brain. The worst part is my brain is forced to think that makes sense. And they love to use people like that to make me subscribe to the stupidity that will make sense. Matter of fact, look at their phone. That's probably one of when they look at their phones, like, we just connected. Matter of fact, the worst part is they try to make those two look similar. Can you imagine? And because, obviously they're Asian, so they have features that are in common. They try to merge it together. And it's funny, Earlier there's some older, like 55-year-old Asian woman, and like you see, she was now 55. I was like this, either the age of this person in the train or this 50, like it's the stupidity from people who torture children. These are the people involved in this, as Tiger Joe said here, involved in this evil.
To innocent people, not only senior citizens, but children.
It's a slow, painful death. The ultimate goal is to destroy the...
She's talking about who they're torturing.
This and do what they are doing to innocent people, not only senior citizens, but children.
It's a slow, painful death. The ultimate goal is to destroy the person.
This is wickedness and this is evil, and it has to stop. This has to stop.
How can you live with yourself? How do you sleep at night? I don't understand how you can do it. I really don't. But I'm going to still hold on to my humanness till I take my last breath.
If I had a chance to confront them, and I don't...
Those are target video who were asked, what would you tell those people involved in what's happening to you? Those trash are involved in some of the foulest things you can imagine. And it makes sense that they were, especially with me, try to create a facade that they're the one protecting the young. They're the one protecting women. When you that exposed and can't maintain this facade, you don't care anymore. It's like, oh, if that person in the train is this age, that means 12 years ago, and use these clowns around to be like, yeah, we just proved it. It's like, no. It proves why this is proof to you. Your psyop has been demolished. And these clowns here, they were telling them they're going to be heroes for being not fair and play victims in a program where women and children get tortured the way you heard that child scream. When in reality, they know what they're becoming. This trash are done. They're done. Done. It's a matter of time. And I'll put that in their face. Because if they're heroes, the type of hero they are is hero that are involved by fate in something that does this. And you can tell that I'm putting that in their faces till I die. That's the kind of heroes they are. They're heroes that are supposed to cover up these sufferings. Using this clownery of human beings. And the reason why I say wiped, they try to negate, because one of the main things they were trying to utilize to act like they're just enraged and it's fate. These people, and I love to put that in their face. And the reason why I make this video is to make sure that any chance they give me to make a video showing this kind of evil, for putting kids in that kind of agony, I will put that in their face. And you understand why the rage I have for them, for this clown, is to that level. They're not going to negate the horror, the atrociousness that you're seeing here. And the torture, not only this agony torture, but some of the torture is painful in a sexual way. hurting children like this. And this little trash tantrum was not going to negate that. And they curse. And they curse for the rest of their life. Because they were a hero. In this. Now, when I say wiping, they were trying to bring up what they've made me imagine, because the truth is they wanted to be the one, be like, no, we protect children, we're making you pay for what you did when you were a child, try to exaggerate what I did as a child. That was really their like initial ways to paint themselves as justice seekers and everything else. Like, yeah, it's fate for you. It's like, yeah, it's fate that the people who can torture children in these terrible ways are making me pay for what I did as a child when I was a child. Try to exaggerate what I did as a child. Talk about wiping her hands, washing her. They came out with all different versions, different mixing of like, what, you wash your hand, no, you wipe your hand, no, you use her hand, no, you did use her nastiness. But it came from people who are heroes by involving themselves in something that does this to children.
The youngest we have record of is
those are the heroes. And this is who's talking about wiping the hands and whatnot to try to create some exaggeration of what a child did, because they tortured children that evilly. They did that in that evil way, that atrocious way. This is the evil they involved in. Wanting to paint themselves as the one that just gonna make me pay. This trash. Delusional trash for all the children suffering in agony like that. I'm not gonna let you create reality the way you want it and paint yourself as the protector of children when you torture children this way. Just because you slam a door or two. Creating stories the way you wanted to, recreating reality, but at the end of the day, expose what you're part of. This is the heroes here. Fate involved in this.
the youngest.
This woman was right when she said they torture the most vulnerable.
And do what they are doing to innocent people, not only senior citizens, but children. It's a slow.
And having trash involved in this, thinking that they're heroes when they do these atrocious things. And try to find ways to paint themselves as heroes, talk about wiping and creating the storylines they wish when they're torturing children to the point of making children scream in pain like that. Hoping they're gonna live their fantasy. And they're like, yeah, I love that girl. It's like, yeah, so you won't do that horrible things to a little girl? This is unique to little boys? Bunch of trash. I will never internalize this manipulation that they make me have in real time. I will never accept this stupidity of memory manipulation or narratives based on, oh, this person was, then try to bring up a child act and exaggerate, talk about wiping and all the different stories that you create to try to exaggerate what a child did in middle school, what they make kids scream in pain and sufferings like that. Where elder women in their 70s are being sexually tortured, and even knowing that babies are being tortured the same way. Abusing these children to the point where they scream like this. And think that they're going to have these retarded children who think they can negate the horror of what they do to children. That this is not abuse.
The youngest we have record of.
And they're torturing very young children. It's their sickness. There's nothing heroic about them. They're just trash low life that try to silence the horror of what they're part of, torturing some babies. And creating stories where they paint themselves as the heroes, the protector of children, even making storyline, oh, this Asian in the train was this age. That means and then bringing up me as a child and try to create this exaggerated version of reality, exaggerated reality where they talk about washing hands, wiping hands, depending on then whatever. Then doing this noise campaign to try to create fear when you hear a child screaming in agony and hearing a mother say, do something, somebody do something. And this woman said it. This trash will have to be accountable for what they're part of. They will not going to live in a fantasy. They know what this is happening here. It's torturing of even children. And it's recognized.
And do what they are doing to innocent people, not only senior citizens, but children. It's a slow pain.
Can you imagine? And they're like, yeah, you're innocent. It's like, no, you who's torturing children is, you guys are innocent. Matter of fact, you're not just innocent, you're heroes. For me, it's simple. Any excuse to make sure that they eat the reality that consists of what this man is saying here.
With voice skull V2K, the sickness that someone would torture a small child is beyond belief. We have confirmed that these kids are in fact receiving directed energy weapons and voice to skull. It's a very disturbing development for us. With children, they'll use their mother's voice. The parent has to tell the child, watch my lips. If you didn't see me say it to you, that wasn't me.
By the way, to negate how children are being tortured to the point of screaming this way, when this man said, watch my lips, they try to make me imagine things with the mouth and, these things that they've tried to create in my memories to try to exaggerate what I did as a child. Talk about use her mouth to negate how this child is screaming in agony. This trash deserve hell for what they're part of. The day will come, maybe not today. But I'm glad they got so revealed for the trash that they are, that they can never counter that. From the things they try to exaggerate, talk about mouth, wiping, whatever it is, try to create something that didn't happen and make that feel like it happened when I was a child, or creating storylines and like, no, if this Asian person was this age in the train that you saw yesterday, it means 12 years ago who you're with, that Asian individual is the same age. They must be the same age. And then you use these clowns around you, these monkeys that are supposed to gaslight you, to internalize these things. Telling me to stay strong. Any chance they give me to show that and put that in their faces, I will. This kid screaming in agony. The suffering, it's not in vain. It's exposed what they do to children, as I'm saying that here, child, and it's stimulating me. They have their children having noise campaign to negate this. You hear this kid screaming in agony? Right now I'm listening to a child in the hallway, and as the child screamed, they start giving me stimulation. And like they're protecting children. They're the winners. They protect children. These people here protect children. And by the way, as soon as I hear children, they force me to get stimulation. They're like, oh, you get stimulation. Yes, I gave stimulation that's manipulated into me by the manipulation of my brain, because I'm a target individual who deal with V2K and synthetic telepathy. So they can make me have sexual arousals whenever they want. Oh, just in case you think this is something that's hard to find. In the same video where you hear this child screaming.
A sexual component to this program. Haptic feedback. Vibrations and pain delivered to their most intimate areas in a way that seems to want to humiliate them. Some TIs report seductive or taunting voices in their head at the same time as sexual assaults are taking place. A Washington Post article about the issue states, others report the attacks in the form of sexual stimulation, including one TI who claims he dropped out of the seminary after constant sexual stimulation by directed energy weapons.
So when that child screamed, they forced me to get sexual stimulation, and that's why that child was screaming. Because they want to present themselves as protectors of children. And this is not unique to me. Thank you, Major. Stay strong.